Wait, no music?
No, there's music. We have all that. Yeah. But we have a lot to get to today. As you can see, it's not Bert and there's no Corey.
No, Corey.
It's the Mike Times Germ show.
Yes.
A little bit different mood today. Mike, there's some controversy out there. There's a touchy subject that a lot of people don't want us to talk about, but we felt that it was important to bring it up because I think a great injustice has been done. And I think we need to explore it, deep dive into it, and make sure people have a better understanding of why this is so bad. And of course, I'm talking about the recent news of the New York Mets unveiling the Tom Seaver statue on Jackie Robinson Day.
Yeah.
Unforgivable.
Give them a shot to do what?
Shot boys. I didn't know what to say.
I didn't know what to say either. I felt like you had to say something. I mean, there's nothing to say. This is like I don't know, like you want to call it a happy hour. We haven't come up with a name with these little joint shows under the network umbrella. It's not really stuff about sports. It's not really the Divide. It's just a network. It's a network joint by Mike and Germ.
I like the Mike Times Germ show.
I like it too. We're gonna have to do that for these special occasions. Hopefully when you come down here and hang out with me.
We got one coming up. Yeah, I'll be there.
Yeah,
even if we got to do it in a parking lot.
We could do it at the firehouse. They already gave us. Awesome. They gave us some permission. So,
bring it. Either way, I want to bring some first due.
Oh yeah, it's a hit, man. I've gotten people. Hooked on that. So check out fastbreakcoffee.com. Get yourself not just first due. I mean, we have great blends, the substitute teacher, midnight oil. We have a lot going on to soothe and give you the right vibes for the day for the people who just want to F work and drink some coffee and you need a fast break. Go ahead and get yourself some of that.
So true.
Mike, I mean, so we're going to talk Mets baseball because we're Mets fans. We don't have these Yankee parasites hanging on to the sides of us today, so we get to freely talk Mets and we're going to talk a little NFL offseason, probably the craziest offseason that I have ever seen. And yeah, we will talk about the Lia Thomas thing. It's a delicate subject, and we will get into it. And then we'll have some fun later on after that. So, Mike, the first thing I really want to know from you when it comes to these New York Metropolitans, what do you like? What have you seen from spring training? Because I remember when Buck Showalter became the manager, I was like, I don't know, man, this guy, his record's not great, or like just some of his historical time. Like he's only had this much postseason success. I was nervous about him. How do you feel about him now? Because I'll be honest with you, I kind of like it. I dig it.
I was gonna say I like it too. Like he's not taking himself too serious. He's having conversations that honestly normally wouldn't. Those colors look great, fellas. You're darn right it does. That blue and orange. I got my raccoon, or is it
Rocky Raccoon? Or what is it? The Rally Raccoon? Whatever it was.
Yeah. Yeah, let's go Mets, man. Look, Buck is hilarious. Like personally, like he's just so laid back right now. Exactly. Vintage Mets saying Buck is changing the culture. Got Keith helping Piazza. I love it. I love it.
What he did for Keith Hernandez, I think one, it serves two things. It's dope that he did that. He put him on the side of the car and drove him around the entire place. Let people know after the Wilpon basically banned him, right, from even participating in anything Mets, right? Like, isn't that the story? Like the Wilpons didn't like him, and he wasn't allowed in the down where the players were. Like that was the whole point of. Correct me if I'm wrong about that. I felt like I read that part of the story where the Wilpons didn't like Keith Hernandez for some reason, and Showalter was kind of undoing a unwritten rule.
I mean, I could see that. I mean, he was still the announcer of our team, so But
I know that, but I'm saying like in terms of on field access with the players during practice and stuff like that. I felt like I
they
read that he
started
didn't.
treating him more like a journalist as
Right.
opposed.
Yes.
Right, right,
Yes.
yeah. No, I love it all, man. I would love it to have. Yeah, he had some of the coaches that felt jealous. You're right, German. Yeah,
Carlos is right. Vintage Mets is right. Go check him out on Instagram. Keith Hernandez is Mets royalty for all.
I agree.
You
I
know,
mean,
I
his
don't know.
number's about to be, retired, and
Mhm.
it's exciting times, man. I mean, it's just I would love a changing of the guards, maybe Piazza take over for Buck. I mean, Buck
Mhm.
is in the twilight of his career and he's enjoying it.
Yeah.
His thing about that bucket like is hilarious. Like
Yeah.
sharing 4 straws during COVID. I wouldn't want to suck on
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
with
Yeah. Yeah.
4
No.
people in this room, and it just and we're winning 7-1 right now. Granted, it's the Marlins and it's spring
Mhm.
training, but our offense is clicking. I
Yeah.
like the Scherzer DeGrom type of bromance. Like
Yeah. Love it.
it's like stepbrothers. They hated each other and now they're like, did we just become
Yeah.
best friends? They're
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yep. And it was all over a curveball. That's what I'll always remember. Uh, you know, so that's
So I looked at a couple things, a couple of my observations. I like how the Mets are going and just giving out these 1-year deals to avoid arbitration. No more distractions. Kind of shocked we give Edwin Diaz $10 million for the year. You know how I feel about Edwin Diaz. I've been cursing him. He's the most bipolar person. I don't know if bipolar is the right word, but like, I don't know. Like he's great against good teams and he's awful against bad teams. I don't understand how that works.
uh,
I,
yeah,
all
like
right.
most like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde,
Yeah,
like
like his
thing.
highs are really high and his lows are like god awful
Yeah.
low. Edwin Disaster or Ed Lose Diaz? Which
Oh
one?
no.
Let's figure that one out.
No, I'm
Uh,
hoping like look, closers like we're jaded because the Mariano Rivera being on the other side of town.
mhm,
Closers don't have a long shelf life.
no,
And Edwin can do it in elite level. I think we finally have the resources to now help him out
yeah,
there. And dude, I think those trumpets too. Like, I mean, we only
no.
experienced it once, but when they
Oh
started
no, great
playing,
music. Yeah, no. It's great
yeah,
music. Yeah, for sure, for
the
sure.
Matador coming in, like
Mhm,
I think that will change the aspect of what we're dealing with. So $10 million in baseball is nothing. These arbitrations are based off even how he performed in Seattle. So you're going to see him on the forefront of that. Just like really Alonso is at 7 million, and that's
yeah,
because he's been performing at an elite level. Whereas McNeil, like, although I love him, like he's not at in that realm, and also I think he's a year behind Pete
yeah,
or in like club. I don't know what however that crap works.
yeah. I know what you
Yeah,
mean. The,
club
I
control.
I wish they would pair. I don't know. Again, I feel like money's not a big issue here, but like I wish we would get another closer to help Diaz, somebody to pair with him.
Hmm.
Um, Conforto, do you want him back or no? Because it's like he spurned us twice. Like he wants to get paid like an elite player, and I don't. I mean,
My issue with that is who his agent is, right? So it's Scott Boras, and
mhm.
uh, yeah,
Yeah, me
I
too.
we offered him $100 million deal,
Yeah,
so an extension, and Boris told him not to take it. And then we offered him, at the end of the year, we offered him a qualifying offer for 1 year, and he didn't take that. So
right.
he's kind of made his own bed.
Yeah,
And Boris contracts either go one way: he either wins or he loses,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I don't know. Like it's just to be fair, like I wouldn't mind him on our team. He's an Olympian. I
Hmm.
mean, his mother was Olympian, so he's
Yeah.
born from Olympic greatness. Uh and I wouldn't mind having him, but yeah,
I wouldn't either. Vintage Mets, for those who are listening only on our comments, Vintage Mets says when listening to your agent goes wrong, Conforto. Yeah, I mean it's odd, and then also with the problem is I believe like after the arbitration stuff, that stuff doesn't end until July. So it doesn't help him that he's just sitting out there. And then even the other free agents that are banking on big money, it doesn't help that you're sitting out that long. You're not going to get that money. If you're not going to get it now, you damn sure ain't going to get it in July, unless you're begging for like a bottom feeding team or a team that thinks they're on the fringe to be desperate enough. But at that point, it's like you're not going to. The chances of you going to a winner at that point are over. The teams that are in real contention already got their lineup set, and they're not just going to add a Michael Conforto. He would be smart to stay with the Mets and just kind of swallow his pride, or maybe do a shorter term prove it deal if he believes in his ability that much.
Mm-hmm.
Frank to Zero says Mets offer Conforto $100 million, and he refused it last year. Yeah, I mean,
right? Yeah,
I mean,
shame on him.
No, seriously, and but again, that was last year. Obviously, I would assume he feels a little humbled, right? Like this is. I think he thought his market would be bigger, and he's playing himself if he think like that number isn't going to magically go up. You know what I mean? Like
no,
every day he waits, the number is going to go down. And
he needs to find a pillow contract, like something where he could opt out after 1 or 2 years. It's club friendly for that club. He's not, unfortunately, and Boris thought he could. I believe what they're trying to say, like that COVID fog, because we've all had somebody who's had the illness now, and there is like a hangover after it, right? And so he said he was battling that his first couple months, and if you take those months out, his performance isn't that bad. His defense was on par the whole year. His offense was pretty brutal, and I just don't know. I mean, like I want Michael to win. He's a great guy, a great clubhouse. He's a guy, and it was sad thinking that, wow, we may never see him again. But at this point, when listening to your agent goes wrong is right.
Buck Showalter said Jacob DeGrom has alert eyes and a great face. Is that not the greatest description compliment that anybody could ever give you? Is that guy trustworthy? You have alert eyes. I don't know what that means. It sounds great though. Like I trust that guy with my children. Anybody who has alert eyes and a great face matching. I think you had to add the great face to that, because I think alert eyes is weird by itself. Like if I said, hey, this guy has alert eyes, I wouldn't know how to take that. But when you say, hey, he has alert eyes and a great face, I'm like, oh, all right, that guy not so bad.
I understand the alert eyes after seeing, did you see him in the pizzeria?
Yes, I did.
Yes, those are alert eyes without a great face.
Let's talk about that. Hey, pizza guy who clearly works there, you are a loser. Let the guy pick up his pizza. I mean, I get that it's Jacob DeGrom and these people. I get they're celebrities, but he's picking up pizza for his family. Like, don't be sneaking pictures of him. He clearly didn't give you permission to take a picture of him. Why are you taking his face with his alert eyes, by the way? Notice that you were just taking a picture, and I'm sure you weren't hiding it. I'm sure you're like, oh shit, it's Jacob DeGrom. And it's like I just never was a fan of that. Like the guy's at the store with his kids, the guy's picking up pizza, the guy's, you know what I mean? He's at a restaurant having dinner with his wife. Like, don't be putting a camera in his face. Like, just tell people. I think people would believe you. Hey, Jacob DeGrom picked up pizza from here. Check it out.
Because of the privileges that I have in my life, I was able to be a volunteer for the 12-12-12 concert. And I was in the hallway with Kevin, who was working the event, and Paul McCartney passed by.
Oh no, Mike.
I tried to take a picture, and like he quickly turned, and so I have a picture of him side profile and his wife yelling at him to be like, that young man, that volunteer is trying to take a picture of you. And I was like, I'm a volunteer, but really it's so I could get access.
Yeah.
I did help out a lot.
So you earned that sneak picture.
I did.
Frank says the difference between Louis Rojas and Buck Showalter has pen and paper.
Small.
Oh, okay. So he's basically saying that Louis Rojas didn't do anything. He's not a student of the game. Louis Rojas just folded his arms the whole game. Buck Showalter has pen and paper taking notes for the next game. I get that correlation. I would probably say Buck Showalter has 138 years of baseball managing experience.
Yeah, right.
And this was Louis Rojas' first job as a head manager.
Somebody's going to give Louis another shot, and he's no pun intended. Give us a shot, network. Check us out.
Yeah,
but he's going to soar, man. I think he was, unfortunately, like, he would have been a great bench coach for Beltran. It would have been, that progression would have been amazing. He got thrown into a job in a violent time to be a Met fan. We're going through an ownership change. The fans just didn't want to wait for Rojas to really find himself as a coach or a manager. And, wherever the next opportunity he gets, he's going to make the most of it.
So we talked about this in the postseason. The main, Frank says every time you say Louis Rojas' arms folded. Yes. Put it on the poll. Is Louis Rojas' arms unfold? Do they ever unfold? I don't know.
He's a Yankee now, right?
He's a third base coach for the Yankees.
So strange.
First base coach. First or third. I can't remember. One of the line coaches. So that was for us when we talked about how disappointing the end of last season was. I believe me and you spoke about this on our Mets happy hour. The problem was us, the fans. We weren't supposed to be as good as we were starting out the year. Now, granted, a couple things worked out. We had a soft schedule, and we built up a lot of wins early, and we talked ourselves into thinking we were better than we were. The other problem was, and I think we probably could have made some noise, but injuries, and that's the one thing that's going to kill us now. We got bats now. Our between Bassett and Scherzer and DeGrom, I mean, damn, you know what I mean? And so, and I believe Marte is hurt right now, but as long as all that stuff works out and injuries don't just devastate us like it did last year, we should be okay. I mean, right now we are the most bet team at plus 1,000 in Major League Baseball, according to Vegas. So the hype is real. But I think as fans, needs to give this team time to figure it out. You got to breathe. Hey, Mets fans, I love the Mets too. We're not going to win every single game. Pete Alonso's not going to hit 50 home runs. I wish he might, but I'd much rather him play better defense. Like, that's the one thing he needs to work on in his game. His defense needs to be a little bit better. I hope Robinson Cano can. I don't know if it's down to him and Dom Smith, I think, for the DH spot. But let's hope Robbie Cano can do something. Anything, seriously. But so, we have a good team.
I see this question that's scrolling. It says, which Mets hitter is most likely, besides Pete, to hit 30 home runs in 2022? And I'm gonna go with so I was right in 2015. So Alex Rodriguez in 2015 came off his year suspension. He had 33 home runs. And I said he was going to come back. He was going to come back with vengeance. He was going to come back with purpose. And I do feel that Robbie Cano can do that as a New York Met. One, they're from the same mold, pedigree, and I'm not talking about steroids. I'm talking about work ethic. Robinson Cano is a workaholic. And he did the steroids for the fans. He already got his biggest deal he'll ever get for his final contract. He just had to play. He could have played like shit. He wanted to do it, not to become a Hall of Famer, not to do anything. He wasn't on that stature because of his previous steroid scandal. He wanted to do it to win and to perform at an elite level. And some of that is selfish. Some of that is for us. So we have to kind of appreciate that and also look at this man and give him an opportunity, give him a shot, because he gave himself a shot for our enjoyment and kind of see if he can.
Got to vote for Canha.
All right. Yeah. Lindor could mess around and hit 32.
Lindor's probably about he hitting 40 and like 100 RBIs. Hey, I wish, man. Hey, nah. Let's get it popping. I mean, all these guys. I mean, you could pick them. Dom, Francisco,
yeah, Dom bombs, baby.
Escobar. Pick somebody. You know what I mean? They could do it. But that's the beauty of this team, right? Like We have these great contact hitters like Marte and Neat McNeil, and but then we have these powerhouses that can pick and choose. It's like we have cleanup guys every third or fourth guy. Like you could put somebody in the cleanup spot. So JD, there's a vote for JD. Yeah, hell yeah, JD could do it.
Am I the only one that feels bamboozled about the fact that they told us that the extra inning base runner was gone and now it's back? Like,
so we're giving the Mets a lot of time here, deservedly so, but we didn't talk properly. No, I don't care. We didn't talk properly about some of these. Like you fought. I don't care about the changing back of the rules, but you fought and did all these things and delayed and canceled weeks of baseball to put stuff right back in it. Like I don't. So the game is shortened already by virtue of pitch clock, banning the shift, things of that nature. Great. You can't step out of the box anymore, or whatever they said. Like they're limiting that, or whatever they're doing. The reason why you put the bases back on the ghost runner back on the base is because you idiots voted for 9-inning doubleheaders. If you would have just left it at 7-inning doubleheaders, we wouldn't need the ghost runner, which is the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. I hate it. I hate the ghost runner. I love the universal DH. I love the bigger bases. I love the pitch clock. All that stuff would have been fine. There's a little bit called doing too much. For all you fantasy guys out there, it's called tinkering. There's certain people in every fantasy league that are tinkers. They will drop and re-add waiver wire their team every week. Right. And that's what it feels like baseball's doing. Like they don't know what rules they want to change.
No.
And the greatest rule of all time besides the universal DH. I love the Shohei Ohtani rule.
I don't.
Bro, let it rain. Yo, Jacob deGrom single-handedly with his bat won us games last year. Now imagine he could still bat without having to worry about pitching, which probably was the reason why he got injured. Because he had to do it all.
They're not going to let him ever touch a baseball. His bat was retired at spring.
I believe it, but
they probably buried it in Port St.
No, for sure. In the future, for now, it's over.
You're right.
But if this rule was in place, we could have saved him some workload by your bat is hot today. We don't need you pitching. We're fine. We need your bat today. That having, and again, we're talking about the 1% of the 1%, right? Like there's not many other players besides Ohtani that could pull this off.
Nobody.
But what this is doing is there's schools in these South American countries that are breeding these kids to come up here and play baseball. The problem that they're having is these kids are so great at everything, but they have to be forced into one thing or the other.
Fair point.
And now you don't have that. You're giving more opportunity for more elite athletes to come over here and play baseball from different countries, and not just like Venezuela or Cuba or wherever, Japan, right? Or whoever, this is like the Giannis Antetokounmpo effect. Like eventually everybody in the NBA is going to be like him. He's just the first. That's where the league is going. Shohei Ohtani is the future of baseball. You're going to have guys that Shohei had a ridiculous ERA, like a world record history-making ERA and hitting percentage, and he was leading the league at home runs at the same time at one point. Like that's the future of baseball. This rule is just making sure we get more of that, and I'm all for it.
Agreed. I mean, there was a time where, that's a great take on it. My problem was the showmanship of it, right? Like if you knocked out the pitcher, you knocked out Ohtani, right? Like so that kind of the gamesmanship is gone a little bit, but I also understand where they're coming from as far as growing the game. So Ohtani is a one in a lifetime player. He deserves his own rules.
Frank says that the rules are not fair to other teams. They were talking about it tonight during the event. I don't care about other teams. Go get yourself a Shohei. Like there's a strategy. There's the roster construction. For the longest time, it wasn't fair that the Yankees could buy every elite talent in the league and dominate the sport for as long as they did.
Yeah, no.
Fair. There's always going to be certain advantages and disadvantages. And again, we're talking about the 1% in terms of finding talent or the talent that the players have.
I'm just trying to figure out the way somebody could manipulate this rule. And I've talked myself in and out of it. Like, is there a way that I could declare my first baseman as my pitcher? He throws out, he walks somebody or ends an inning, and now like I could keep him in. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but I don't know if that rule could actually work. But and also, why would I want to do that?
Right.
So
Yeah. It'll happen. Again, all this does is breed better baseball players. To the fact that, you can add to your pitching staff. It'll put out some of these fringe pitchers that go in the bottom of the rotation or whoever. But
yeah, I never thought of it. So worst case scenario, it's a rule that only matters for the next 10 years because Ohtani's there.
Yeah.
Best case scenario, we have a breed of hybrid pitchers that can also hit. And I like that rule too, because now you got the National League back, right? Like all of a sudden our pitchers are hitting again.
Yeah.
And we're rewarding them for hitting. You could stay in the game, know?
Frank is playing chess. Look at this.
Andy Martino.
Can't stand Steve Cohen. Artie Martino is he owns the Angels. Can't stand Steve Cohen. Voted against him purchasing the Mets. Would be great when Ohtani becomes a free agent. Yes. That the Mets pick him up. I'll drink to that.
I'll drink to that.
I'll drink to that. I love me some Shohei. We're Shohei apologists up here.
I drank so much I almost coughed.
That's fantastic. So Mike, with NFL is this offseason has been crazy. I think the biggest news is probably Deshaun Watson, who apparently had another allegation thrown against him, and then already the grand jury voted not to charge him.
Right.
It's a bad look by the NFL. It shows that it doesn't matter what you do. Like, as long as you're not criminally involved, and apparently they're not going to charge him criminally, still has all these allegations against him. Just because he's not able to be criminally charged doesn't mean something happened. That should speak to you forego team therapists to go after what is reported as around 50 unlicensed masseuses. It's weird. But this really isn't about that. He goes to the Browns. Amari Cooper gets traded to the Browns. The Browns give him $230 million guaranteed. I still don't think the Browns are the best team in the division. It's weird. It's weird how that worked.
Okay. And his first year is only $1 million because they know he's going to get suspended.
Yeah, I mean,
or he's going to play for $1 million, right?
So no, I think it is the issue of he's going to get suspended for conduct detrimental. It doesn't, guilt or innocence doesn't matter in the NFL when it comes to some of these punishments. You can't make the NFL look bad. So they're going to give him his 8 games, which I assume that's what he's going to get, somewhere around there. Yeah, I mean, but now's the time. Deshaun is only on the books for $1 million a season, and so you get what you need around him. He'll get suspended his 6 to 8 games. I would assume it'd be half the season, and then you have a team that can compete. The problem is for him, the rest of the AFC went nuts.
Right.
Khalil Mack goes to the Chargers. The Falcons, they get Marcus Mariota. Calvin Ridley's gone for the year, so they're not a factor. But Tom Brady comes back, and that
Gronk is going to come back.
No. Gronk will come back. In terms of the AFC, Russell Wilson is in Denver. That squad is nice.
Yeah.
The other big news, Mike, Tyreek Hill. Something happened in Kansas City. Something that we don't know about. He had, I think he was just like, he saw that Juju Smith-Schuster and Patrick Mahomes' brother were going to do TikToks together, and he just didn't want to he didn't want anything to do with that. And so he was like, hey, you guys got to trade me because
Mahomes actually got married, and he was like, I'm out.
I'm out of here. I can't believe you wifed that up. Frank says, let's go Jets. So Tyreek Hill was actually.
Where are they going?
Yeah, I don't know. Nowhere now. But the Jets, heady play by the Jets, because I don't think they were actually interested in Tyreek Hill. I think they were driving the price. I think they knew Miami was interested, so they jumped in and made Miami overpay for Tyreek Hill, and essentially weaken a division rival, which sounds weird because they got Tyreek Hill, but they also lost all of their draft capital.
Yeah, it's all gone.
It's all gone.
Yeah.
Then they paid him within like the day, 72 million guaranteed, 120 million for the next 4 years, which is, I couldn't believe that for that. And you don't know if your quarterback's any good, man. Like, sorry. Now I will say, Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill and who's the other? Devontae Parker is a good receiver core.
Yeah.
I put on this stuff about sports page that the Browns, the Browns should hit up Miami and try to pull off a Baker Mayfield trade for Tua as somebody who can sit behind Deshaun, because I think Baker Mayfield, actually, I think Miami should do that for Cleveland, because I think Baker Mayfield would be a better fit for
Tua.
For Miami than Tua would be. So if I was Miami, I'm hitting up Cleveland like, hey, we'll give you Tua and whatever picks we got left and give us Baker. And I think then Miami becomes a real Joe Flacco announcer. He's returning to who? The Jets? Yo, Joe Flacco, keep getting them. Hey, keep getting them checks.
Yeah.
Hey, shout out to Joe Flacco, man. Everybody hates on Joe Flacco.
I do like Tua in Cleveland, like as learning from Watson. You know what I mean? Like, and then eventually like a Garoppolo type thing, right? Where he gets his own team again. But that's if Tua's willing to take a backseat to somebody. I don't know.
Yeah. Aaron Rodgers returning to Green Bay, $50 million for the next 3 years is nuts. He's 38 years old. You know what I mean? It's you don't have a team around you. You have 2 receivers. I get that you'll draft the rest of your squad, and I feel like if you're Green Bay, you say, I have Aaron Rodgers. It's cool. We'll figure it out. But you can't say I don't have enough help and then take $50 million. And that's not even talking about Devontae Adams. I don't believe in paying skill players. I'm cool with them letting him walk for the money that Las Vegas gave him. However, if I'm Aaron Rodgers, I'm divvying up that money, especially when you're at the end of your career, and I'm taking less so I can try to get some free agents in here, so I can try to get some help, so I can win. I mean, I'd be shocked if Green Bay makes the playoffs. I'm dead serious. So, hey, shout out to Aaron Rodgers. You got your money. I know your girl left you. Maybe that's part of it. He's just trying to, you know what I mean? He's trying to compensate for losing his
Up
girl.
the ante.
Yeah, up the ante. He's like, oh man, I gotta wipe my tears with all these millions. It's like with $100 bills, just wiping. He's watching reruns of Divergent on DVD.
The other what's up with all these number 1 wide receivers leaving their number 1 quarterbacks? So like the Chiefs, like at least when Brady lost a wide receiver, there was a show to go with it. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. It just a hot take too. I think if AB stays on that team, the Bucks go a little further in the playoffs.
Oh, I believe it. That but that's AB. Like his talent again. There's a separating artist from art here. I can say
agreed.
He's a great football player, but is it worth dealing with a guy while your team is in the huddle who at any moment can take his gear off and run and do jumping jacks in the end zone while your team is actively playing an NFL game? He'll probably never play again. That I think for him that's the last straw, which is sad, but it doesn't matter because he hangs out with Kanye West now and everything's all good. So
hot take too, Pete Davidson's not going into space, and I think that's because Kanye
put the word out.
He got that word out. He's like, don't let him touch the sky.
So Frank in the comments said our young rookie catcher Francisco Alvarez just hit a bomb. Nice. I saw a picture of this kid, and I swear to God, I thought it was Sasquatch. I was like, "Yo, how big is this guy? He's a big dude. He might want to play for your Jets, Frank. Because I mean, I don't know who else y'all got, but that kid could play football. Yeah, that dude's we complained that we didn't have any run support last year. Now we got all the run support. And
there's too much. There's too much.
Again, if we stay healthy and everybody plays to what their ability is, I'm not asking anybody to overplay. I'm just basing it off of what I've seen from the players we have. If everybody just plays to their ability, we should win the division at the very bare minimum least.
Yeah.
I think I can say that confidently. I'm not one of these Mets fans that think we're going to win the World Series and win every single game and sweep in the playoffs. We'll stumble here or there, and we'll get some injuries. But as long as we stay relatively injury free, and I'm talking about big injuries, I'm not talking about Jacob deGrom missing a week or two. I'm talking about these guys missing months at a time. If we can avoid that, we should be in pretty good shape.
So our next topic obviously is a little controversial. And we teased it in the beginning because we are trying to be a little lighthearted at the same time. What I want to say before we get into this, so you could understand where we're coming from, is some of our debate here could be viewed in one way, and some of our debate could be viewed in another way. What I feel is there's a difference between fairness in sports and gender equality. And if you're able to stick with us and separate, hence divide that, I think we could have an actual conversation. And if you would like to chime in, feel free in the chat.
Yeah. So Mike, anybody who knows me and Mike or have been with this network or watched our shows separately, or at least watched me on stuff about sports, knows that I like to. I try to speak from a moment of truth. I speak from the facts that I have at the time, but I speak about it candidly. It's probably the best way to put it.
Mhm.
I do try to add some jokes in there, but I try to do it in a way that forces people to think, and some people don't appreciate my verbiage. Me and Mike I've known Mike over half of my life.
Mhm.
This is not chemistry that we have. This is a love and a
This is
bond.
love. Right.
And I will, and in full, people who know me, like Mike, I am fully transparent. I don't have a filter.
Mhm.
I have thoughts, I have feelings, and it does rub. I do say things that rub people the wrong way in a mode to challenge people to educate. I like to be educated. I want people to argue with me because I learn. I feel like if people are scared to have hard conversations, we're never going to go anywhere. So when we talk about this Lia Thomas situation, I want people to understand we are separating artists from art here. This is not about transgender lifestyle. Mike and myself fully support formerly known as William Thomas, now known as Miss Lia Thomas, and hope that she finds whatever she's looking for. That's the best thing I can say. This is not about her wanting to. I don't care if she transitions. I don't care if anybody. I don't care how anybody wants to live. Whether you want to, if you're a man who wants to be a woman wants to be a man, or if you want to be a tree. That's irrelevant to what we're saying. This is in the scope of sports. So I have to preface this because I don't want anybody to feel offended. I am going to speak from my heart. I expect Mike to speak from his. If you don't like what I'm saying, whatever. If you don't like what Mike's saying, whatever. This is not about condemning people. Let's have a serious conversation about this. I feel like for me, it's interesting and it's sad that people are scared to have a conversation and give their honest opinion because they're scared of some imaginary mob, or not imaginary, but some mob labeling them something. If you speak from truth or whatever your truth is, there's nothing to worry about. So shout out to Lia Thomas, shout out to the transgender community. We hope well, but I think there is an important conversation here in the scope of sports that you can do respectfully and tastefully and also candidly. I don't. So for those who for some reason don't know, Lia Thomas is a 20-something-year-old female swimmer, believe for one of the Ivy League schools, Yale or Penn or whatever it is, one of the highty-tighty schools. And she was formerly, up until last year before last, whatever it was, a male swimmer, male athlete, who ranked near the bottom of the male division for whatever reason, whether it was personal or sports related. I don't think anybody can really say, but at whatever the case is, transitioned to be a woman and now competes in the women's division. Recently won a 500-meter race, and people are upset about it. Mike, I don't know exactly how you want to begin this conversation. I think I want to say first and foremost, there's two separate things, and I think people don't know how to take their emotion out of it. I think for me, I can say, and time will tell how this is going to work out. I don't think there's people on one side that think that she should be remembered as Jackie Robinson, and which is ridiculous. And then some people who think, she is like an abomination and goes against the laws of God, which is also ridiculous. People can live how they want. I think there's a nuance. There's somewhere in the middle, some middle ground.
Agreed. I think what you're a stickler with rules, right?
Yes.
And you want the rules to be fair and even. And I feel like this puts up a few red flags because you think of it in the extreme sense of, what Dave Chappelle said with LeBron James, if he was to all of a sudden declare himself as a different gender, he'd be scoring 900 points in the WNBA. Like, nobody's disputing the elite of the elite or anything like that. But what I would like to share is that the transgender community normally doesn't even participate in sports or groups in fear of, one, being bullied, or two, like, they just have a lot of stuff going on in their own personal life that they can't really communicate well to their family or loved ones, that they're not really at a need or want to be in a public setting. The things that upset me is the state of Utah trying to create a law against transgender athletes. When, do you know how many transgender athletes are in Utah?
No.
4.
Yeah.
So Ric Flair has had more horsemen than transgender. Utah has transgender athletes at the time. So that's why that bill was vetoed. That's why it's kind of hurtful. If we get to a point in sports, personally, if we get to a point in sports where transgender rules are unfair or unjust, we have a great problem in our hands. That means that the suicide rate in the transgender community is so low, and the acceptance rate from their friends, family, and the public is so high that now they're able to play sports at an elite level. We're in a good position. But I understand where other people are coming from, because people could manipulate this law or this rule, whether it be Olympians or collegiate sports. And I understand your take on that.
So I watched a video from her school, and I think, and here's a couple things that are wrong on both sides. So and I'm going to try to remain as objective as I can, because there is a fundamental objection to me when it comes to transgenders competing in sports, and I have an example for both. Obviously, Lia Thomas being one. Her teammates openly are against her because she still has her male genitalia attached. There's stories that they're openly kind of uncomfortable with it. The problem, the story of, I think we all heard it, she went from 468, 462 in the men's to number 1, and that proved to be like false. I think it was, but if you take the totality of her times overall, I believe she does place somewhere near or in the top 10. I watched a video, a video of her beating her own team to qualify for this thing by a full 40 seconds. The advantages are there. Now, I feel like if the transgender part happened pre-puberty, before all of her male dominant features, she's 6'1", man. She's like a $158. Her hands huge, feet huge. Her body is a male body by all scientific accounts, which gives her an advantage specifically in swimming. And I see this championing of her. And again, we're not separating the athletic part from the transgender part. As a human being, I can sympathize and empathize with Lia Thomas's struggle as a transgender human. It must be fucking hard to sleep at night for her.
Mm-hmm.
The picture of her standing at the number one spot podium with the rest of the people who are taking pictures way off to the side of her without her has to be hard for her to process as a human.
Mm-hmm.
I can empathize with that, Mike, but I can also say, have a hint of, well, you kind of brought that on yourself because you knew what you were signing up for. There's good consequences in life and bad consequences. You had to have known that your presence alone was going to stir up some stuff. So from that athletic perspective, it's not that I don't sympathize, but it's kind of like, man, you know, if a male athlete took steroids, we wouldn't blink an eye for that competitive advantage because there's no, by all accounts, it's equal footing. A lot of people are using the LeBron James thing, but LeBron James is the top 1% of even male athletes, right? Serena Williams, best woman we've ever seen in tennis, has a universal tennis rating of 13. You know where that would place her in the men, Mike? It would place her in the 2000s. So no matter how amazing she is, at the peak, I mean, I think we both agree that at the peak of Serena Williams, who is the top 1% of women athletes, isn't better than the first 1,000 men pro athlete players. So the advantage for her is Lia Thomas knows this, and you take the good and the bad with this. Plenty of people are praising her in the swimming community. She may not be breaking records in collegiate sports, but UPenn or Yale, I want to get the college right. I'll look it up when you talk, but whatever college she's at is not a historically great swimming colleges. So it looks worse for her because she is breaking these records at a college that isn't really known for swimming.
Right.
And so those things, as I said earlier, are working against her in terms of the perception. If a female gymnast, because females naturally more limber, goes and transitions to be a man, a female gymnast who is now a man gymnast. I guess the right way to say it, because I'm not trying to offend anybody. I guess a female born male in gymnastics would dominate because female gymnasts can do things that male gymnasts cannot. So when your body is genetically, it doesn't matter how many hormones you take, genetically, you're post puberty now. And the science is shaky at best of the effects of how much HRT affects you pre-puberty. They just say it's better for a transitioning female to go to male to do it before puberty. The problem is this guy waited until he was in his 20s to do it, when he was already fully developed as a male. I just kind of wonder where the conversation would be if Lia Thomas was a wrestler, slamming women around.
I feel as though I didn't know what I wanted at 20 years old, right? So
100%. Yep.
Or I just started, I knew sexually what I wanted when I was 20 years old.
Yeah.
So maybe that could be a part of it. The family and his decision, her decision became more prevalent. The comparison to Jackie Robinson honestly is in that photo. I mean, that's why I see that. And it's not because of the rules right now. It's the rules that could be put in motion after this to include transgender into our community, not just sports, because the Jackie Robinson effect then allowed the Black culture and Black males and females and white females to now get jobs elsewhere. You know, that was the Jackie Robinson effect. That for me is the reason why I love Brooklyn so much. And for me is the reason why 42 is a big figure in my life and a hero, because it was more than baseball. It was more than that. So that picture spoke volumes of the way the children to the right, because these are all kids in my eyes, they're 20-something years old, and the way she was raised. Because as a dad who had an easier job? The father that was raising the the female that got second place, or the father that was raising the female that got first place? You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
it's not easy for anyone. I don't think right now. I hope that she's proud of that trophy, but we wouldn't be talking about this if she didn't do what she did. And if she didn't do what she did, the world wouldn't be trying to figure out, well, how do we include them, but also how do we make it fair?
Yeah.
Because I think that's what uh, who I've spoken to in the transgender community,
Mhm.
or friends of the transgender community, that's what they want. They understand, they want it to be fair, but they want to be included. And they have that right. And
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, so
Well, so that's there. Here's the part of the conversation that's hard, right? Like,
mhm.
I don't think anybody is
Some
saying.
people are. Some people called for division, like their own division.
So,
Right.
the
There
problem with that is there's probably not enough. But again, so what's the distinct advantage, right? Like, I think we all can agree at a 20 something year old transitioning is different than a 12 or 13-year old. Like, by all accounts, Leah is a male because her body has adjusted already to male dominant traits. So is that fair? Because now you're opening the door to, for all that, then there might as well not be women's sports. Like, I think that's a
right.
lot of the people who are extreme on it are saying this
Mhm.
is what you're opening the door to. What's the difference between me and you going to the Paralympics, or me and you know, you could take all the hormone therapy you want. It's not doing anything but making her a little more flabby than she probably would be, because her testosterone's combating that. But it doesn't change the fact that she's already a full grown male body that is now having to take hormone therapy to stay eligible for um, her competitions.
Yeah, the people that are worried about protecting women's sports, as long as they had a voice when women were worried about pay
Hmm.
equality,
Hmm.
uh, lack of resources,
Yeah.
issues that actually are on the forefront, then they can have a voice.
Yeah.
But if nobody cared about how there's not like if I hate to bring this up because it's emotional for me, but the best baseball athlete or softball athlete in my high school was Terrell Callahan, and she got a full ride to go play softball in
Hmm.
college. She died from a drunk driver, but I used to walk around the baseball field with her while her
Hmm.
brothers played on the same little league team, and she would teach me about the game and tell
Yeah.
me how to be better.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget that. And uh, but unfortunately, I was not even a tenth of what her talent, and there were so many more doors open for me
Yeah.
because I had a
A
penis.
100%. With
Right.
my gymnast analogy, you know why that? If a female transitioning to a male, I guess would be a now male gymnast, formerly female,
Mhm. Mhm.
came and won a male gymnast, which would probably be the again, because they can just simply do things that male gymnasts can't. It wouldn't be a non-story. You know why, Mike? Because there's not the misogyny in it.
Mhm.
There's not the men are better at sports than blah 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 blah. You know, it would probably get swept under the rug, or the men would be like, oh, we got to tough it out. It just the reason there's, again, this goes into the reason why this is more of a story than it should be, is because you still have that male aspect of, like, oh, if I was in the WNBA, Mike, I would dominate. You know, if Mike played
Mhm.
softball, with the high school girls, we'd be killing it. Like, there's that weird misogyny that men, again, generally speaking, obviously not all men, but I'm just saying in general, you know it and I know it. People
Yeah.
listening know it. It's out there. That's the other part of this story. That's the other layer to this story. It's, again, it's a hard subject. I'm
Mhm.
not pretending that it's not. I just don't think it's one that should be ignored because people are scared of the subject matter.
Right.
There's so many different takes, right and wrong. We just had a female in our comment saying that Leah should not compete with other women. You were talking, I think you were making the allusion to your late friend about her knowledge of the game. This is not even about that. Some of the Doris Burke is one of the greatest basketball minds that I listen. She's one of my favorite people I listen to. Mina Kimes for ESPN, one of the best. I don't trust her draft analysis, but her in X's and O's is spot on. I listen to her football podcast a lot.
She was also way better at the sport than me too. I should also mention that.
And that's fine.
Right.
But again, that's fine. That this is not that. But this goes back to my Serena argument. You know, I think offline you made the women. There's no reason women can't be pitchers, and I didn't think about it at the time because I said, yeah, you're probably right. But there is a reason why women can't be pitchers, because at that level, and in football to an extent, women can only be pitchers and only be kickers or punters, because they're not going to send a woman out there to get hit by Aaron Donald because they're the optics. They're not going to send, we have women who were born male in MMA fracturing the skulls of genetically female MMA fighters. We're not talking about it here because it's happening in some of these the poorer countries overseas and European countries that a lot of their news don't touch and people don't care about it. But if that happened here, matter of fact, it did happen here. I think I shared a story with you earlier. I'll catch her name later, but fractured the skull of her opponent. As now this is super low level MMA. This is like parking garage MMA. But
right. And to be fair, that her opponent was all about it until
because the checks were there. I get it, but
right. Not even the checks. There's not that many checks. I mean, we didn't see it. We didn't look. Like, I can't even swim. There's no way I was gonna watch collegiate swimming. So we wouldn't even be talking about this if this didn't occur. But
I see, to me, you mentioned that earlier, but even
science.
without the science too, but again, whether or not the trans athlete is breaking records or just overwhelmingly dominating the sport, it's the question is, do they have a distinct unfair advantage? I think you can point to Lia and say yes, in a sense of the way she's dominating her school. Now that has a lot to do with the school's level of athletes, but she did go from 500 almost in the male category to top 10 area of the female category. There is a degree of genetic abnormality, right? We talked about LeBron James. I mean, Serena Williams, Katie Ledecky, another swimmer who dominated her sport, Michael Phelps to a degree, but the line for me has to be drawn somewhere.
But do you find it appalling that lawmakers right now are worried about, like you said, it's a very thin line of transgender. Like, we're talking about, they could all fit in the studio and we wouldn't have to even move the camera back.
Right.
Of transgender athletes in the world, probably not just America, in the world. And lawmakers are trying to create laws to include them in our lives, and then we can talk about the sports aspect of it, because there's not that many athletes. Like, we're literally talking about one, and your examples are three. Like, there's nobody else. They're not even they're not signing up to do the yearbook. Transgender children are afraid to join groups, to join sports. Like, it's not.
But so here, this is where this is where we're not separating artist from art here.
But the lawmakers are like, why are we creating laws that are non?
Because you have the parents of the teammates of Lia Thomas, right? And I'm putting myself in their shoes. They're the shoes of the father.
Right.
Okay.
And I laugh because they have nothing to worry about in life other than the amount of money.
100%.
Money they have.
I got you.
Because swim time is expensive. I couldn't afford it.
I can't afford it. I have to go into the alligator creek back here, and hopefully I don't get my ass eaten by a fucking alligator. But again, this is not me saying it. I'm speaking candidly. But if you're a dude or if you're okay with a dude saying that he's a woman and competing in women's sports and taking, like, if I'm the father on that swim team and Amani's there and this dude is just or female is formerly a dude blowing the other women out of the competition, where now my daughter doesn't get the opportunity because we have to feel inclusive, I would have a problem with that. If Amani's teacher is transgender, if her bus driver, if her coach, if her anything else other in life was transgender, I would not care. You have not, just like your friend, you have knowledge to. I'm not against having a women's strength coach. That you being a woman has no bearing on your knowledge of sport, knowledge of anything. That would not bother me. However, if you are a former male who has already went through puberty, body of a man, and is competing in a female sport where we are at a distinct physical advantage, I, as a father, I would have a huge problem with that. I don't know what the right answer is. As I say all this, I don't think I could probably side with if you have started this transitioning process early enough where your body hasn't already hardened to your genetics, I could probably roll with that in terms of letting you compete. But if you're in your 20s doing it, I don't think I can find myself. I would have to go find a different thing because there's no fair chance for the other females unless you're one of these super, unless you're Serena Williams, which again we've already discussed is a 1% out of 1% thing.
There is a way they could gauge in any human being's body testosterone, right? So
Yep.
you could just create a level, like, because there are females that have more testosterone than you and I, so they
Castor
could,
Samanya, can't remember what country she's from. The IAF banned her because they deemed her biologically male because she and a bunch of other runners had naturally high testosterone.
So you could take the gender out of this.
My daughter, again, but she is Castor is a rarity, right? My daughter can beat most boys in her class. But I feel you, Carl. My daughter can too. But we're talking about grown adult. Like at this, to compare it, the playing field is more level in elementary and in your preteen years and maybe your teenage years than it is in your adult years or your young adult years. I get where you're going with it. I do, and I'm with you. But there's a huge difference. That's not a good comparison. That's not a good analogy that you're using. Even though I agree, because all of our daughters kick ass, and I have no doubt. And even now, even to this day, I'm sure I'm 100% sure there's women out there in my vicinity that could kick my ass. As I stand at 6'1", 250 something pounds. But the other 99 of them, I'm knocking them out. Like we're talking. Yes, I'm not saying all women are physically disadvantaged. I'm saying I'm only generally speaking.
So we can disagree, and that's cool, and we still love each other. And I think this is one of the first topics that we spoke prior. Like normally we like to see each other's reactions.
No, we yelled at each other. Be transparent. Me and Mike had a fight.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's cool.
But the one thing that I feel that we both said during our time, and we do feel this, is the world needs to work to support and affirm transgender youth.
Yeah.
And don't push them further to the sidelines.
100%.
So if we're going to create litigation for sports, let's include them more. Let them know that they're a part of this community. We support them. We are an ally to them, and we will continue to not only support companies that help guide these children to a life that's their normal, and but also to be loved and to understand that this is a world that they could grow up in. Because I don't care if it's Peyton, I don't care if it's any of our kids. If somebody felt this way, I would beat the shit out of anybody who said something the other way. So from one nuclear topic to the next, and I'm very, I think I listen to you, you listen to me, and I appreciate you for that. But now let's hope that this conversation that we're about to have
I was just gonna say, I mean, you thought
never
this, yeah.
happens.
I mean, you were worried about that topic. I mean, this
Right.
topic, I mean, if you're Russia, Mike, which US city are you targeting for that nuclear strike first? So we're doing a Russia nuclear draft. Mike found some website that was counting blast radius. That's how far we've come in this country. This is what we're talking about here. Our biggest issues are transgender swimmers and blast radius from
Right.
nuclear warfare. So,
Right.
but Mike got me interested in it because I
I
thought
was
about it.
worried. I was
Yeah.
scared. I was like, would I die? I
Yeah.
need your help researching this.
So I did some light research. Some of my military background kicked in. I did some math, did some equations. It would take, I mean, the largest recorded kiloton, which is how they measure the nuclear blast, is 500. Philadelphia, you're gone. Sorry. Like if that's if the entire city of Philadelphia and some of the outer suburban areas, but Mike over right underneath Trenton would be safe. And the lowest part of New York City, which is Staten Island, Mike would be safe from the largest recorded blast. Now, depending on some things, radiation is probably the thing that'll kill you before the blast. So that would be something you might have to worry about, depending on what kind of nuclear bomb it is. But you won't get blown to bits, so that's nice. But so now we're trying to figure out what's on Putin's big board of cities, and I think our consensus obviously is New York City. Like I think Putin's going to start the job that finish the job that Saddam started. I think that's going to be on his. He wants to reunite the Soviet Union, and then he wants to crush America. What better place to do it than New York City? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I hope New York City does not become the Rudy Gobert of nuclear war. This is, it's sad that we have to talk about this, but like honestly, like it's something that keeps me up at night. I'm not gonna lie. So
I'm sure.
I'm happy that we're talking about it. I agree with you. I think the second city would not be Philadelphia. I think in terms of importance, I would actually go Washington D.C. because it's the state's capital. It's impactful.
Yeah,
and probably less. It would be less damage, but population wise, but equally as devastating.
So I'm like trying to share some stuff, but there's a place in Montana that does all the communications called NORAD, and that's the acronym for it. It's now a Space Force base, thanks to Donnie T. Used to be a Peterson Air Force base, and now it's the Peterson SFB. So shout out to the Don for giving us the Space Force. But there, and then I believe there's 3 or 4 around the country. I think one's in Vermont. I believe one's in Washington State. Communication satellite hubs. Those would probably be, and NORAD is like damn near center of the country. So I think that would probably be, if I'm Putin, you take out the communications, you take out the internet. So wherever the internet comes from, like whatever, and I'm guessing it's some of these communication hubs. I would probably target that first, because if our internet goes down and we can't communicate, that'll be bad juju for the rest of us.
Now, from my next pick would probably be Los Angeles, because I feel like from Russia's a lot closer to LA, and if you got your buddy China to shoot it off, it would be even closer. So, and also like Californians are weird, man. Like, there's a lot of traffic. So, it would send a message, but also like California is eventually going to break away from the United. Like, I feel like it's going to be underwater or something, right?
Yeah.
So like, you're just like,
Yeah, something about the San Andreas fault or whatever, the plate like breaks off or something like that. Yeah.
If you're the man that knows, like you're Mr. President Jamal, and you know that a nuke's coming in 15 minutes, do you tell the population?
Oh yeah. I'm telling y'all, but I'm not doing it in like the cool Obama way. I'm like, hey guys, shit's fucked up. We're dead. Peace out. Like,
Yeah.
purge. Everybody purge. You got 15 minutes. See ya. And I'm out of there. I'm going to my little secret thing, my secret White House fallout shelter. Because at that point, I ain't got nothing to lose. And then, hey, if I see you, I see you, man. This is where we're meeting up after. If you make it.
Yeah, I do feel like I would do a lot of things that probably wouldn't help, but it would like just for the 15 minutes like I'd go in my basement. Like it's not gonna help, but I would do it.
Yeah. Oh no, and that's the other thing. Like you remember though, like in elementary school, they made us hide under the desks and shit.
Right,
I'm like,
right.
This little ass desk ain't gonna do nothing. Like it's we're dead. Like this tornado's gonna kill us.
Making it easier to count the bodies later.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
But
Florida, because there's weird people down there, and I think I would probably ask Putin, hey, if you're gonna do it, send Florida one of your baby nukes because we got to get rid of those. They're microwaving babies and eating each other on the highway bridges. Like we got to get rid of Florida because all the bad news we gotten in 2020 from 2020 outside of COVID, like all of the awful news from like 2020 till now, all came from Florida. So enough of Florida. I wish there was like another. I wish we would. Can we just all as other states vote states out? Like kick Florida out and bring Puerto Rico in. Let's do that. Let's
like that move. I love that move. Unfortunately, I think Florida would be easy for Russia to convert. Yeah. So because at least from a government standpoint, they're very easily persuaded. I'm gonna go Alaska because according to Sarah Palin, she could see Alaska. She could see Russia from her backyard. Oh. So that'd be really easy. You're not killing that many people, but you're letting people know I could rock your world.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Hopefully Sarah Palin's home too when we do that because it's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. In Omaha, Nebraska, Offutt Air Force Base is where the Strategic Command area is. That's probably the most important outside the Pentagon. All the strategy gets done there, so that would be one that I would target. There's a theme here. All the military stuff, I know where it's at.
And we don't have like I don't know if you're sworn to secrecy, but we don't have technology that could deter any of this stuff, right?
No, we do. Well, we have like our communications, we would know when it's funny because when we have these arguments about Russia's going to come over here and like, do you know why any wars are not fought over here? It's because they know better and we can detect it way before. Like this is exactly why North Korea was testing their hydrogen bomb underneath their country. They know better. And from the moment they hit the button, and this is why if anything was to happen, the only time you should be worried is if all of a sudden our internet and our power goes out because somehow they've attacked our grid and like because we can't know what they're doing because we would know way ahead of time. We can send things to intercept or destroy it before it even sniffs American atmosphere. You know what I mean? American soil. It would never. It just can't happen as it stands. All things fair. It's impossible. Which is why all they do is talk shit to us and nothing ever happens. It's why North Korea doesn't ever do anything to the point where they almost blew up their own country because they were so scared of what America would do if we found out they were testing hydrogen weapons, hydrogen bombs, and that's why they did that underground. Right. So I try to tell people we have the most powerful military in the world. We have the best military budget in the world. We have the best toys. We have the best everything. There's nothing in terms of straight up war. There's nothing really to fear. It just won't happen here. Our government won't let it. Our technology won't let it. And the countries that people say, oh, well, if these guys band together, they can do something. You know why they haven't? Because they're scared. And it'll never happen. So people should just relax a little bit and trust their.
I saw some memes that said like you're about to find out what we're actually good at. Like we're last in math, like all these other things, and like you're about to find out what we're good at.
Yeah.
But look, I obviously, God forbid, if any nukes are shot off or or anybody even one casualty more. Hopefully this is resolved. And
why can't we just go kill Putin? Like, what's up with that?
Dude, I don't think that's. I don't know, man.
I'm not a political.
It's like trying to kill Bezos. I mean, they got money for days. They'll just reclone themselves. I mean, they I don't know. Like I'm I always said this, like, the way China and the way Russia handle their finances and their economy,
Mhm.
it gives it all to the powerful person, right? The leader.
Mhm.
Whereas we give it to Mark Zuckerberg and we give it to Jeff Bezos. And like when we get into a crisis financially or even with satellites, you saw how much Musk helped Ukraine. He's arguably helped them just as much as a state, as a country, right?
Right, right,
So we now like help me Bezos, like we need to like help me with the
right.
Amazon, like we're gonna Amazon Prime rifles if we were in a civil war or being attacked. Like guess who's sending us our arms in the
Yeah,
mail?
for
It's Jeff
sure.
Bezos. So
Yeah, Lex Luthor, help us out, man. Go talk to your boy. I know
or
he's
his
there.
wife apparently, right?
Right,
She's
right.
got
Yeah,
money
she
for
knows.
days.
All
But
right, Mike. I think we navigated those landmines pretty well. I
yeah.
think we had a good Mets conversation to start the show. I love you, man. Thank you for tolerating me.
No,
Uh,
stop. I love you too.
I'm a burden on this network, and I know it.
You are
But
not
you
a bird.
guys tolerate me, and I love it.
You're the most talented guy.
Don't do that to me.
No, you are, and I love you, and all
So
this is because of you.
shout out to Bert, who's working right now, but he came down for his other job, his main job is and came to North Carolina to Raleigh and took me to a Canes game, which was officially my first hockey game. I think I went to a Flyers game many years ago, but we went to the Cadillac Grill. I don't think I ever I looked at the game, but we never
Right.
sat in the seats. I think I just walked around and drank and hung out at the restaurant that's there.
Yeah.
But this was my first hockey game that I actually paid attention to. I sat for, and had a really good time. And so shout out to Bert for bringing me because that was awesome. His Rangers won, so I'm really happy for him. I bought a Hurricanes hat, which I'm really happy for me. And I just wanted to shout out my guy.
Happy birthday. Get it?
Happy birthday. I
Yeah.
like that. That is nice. I like that. All right.
Um,
Well, yeah, I'm Jerm from Stuff About Sports, and that's Mike from the
I'm
Divide.
Mike. Yeah.
So, he's the guy. All right, we'll see you guys. Thank you.